Okay, call me into order. We'll have roll call, please.
Cam Collier.
Here.
Charlie Cook, absent. Bill Crone.
Here.
Matt Dyer.
Here.
Ken Meyer.
Here. Okay, thank you. I'd like to invite everyone to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The minutes of the February 17th meeting were emailed. Do we have any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Make a motion to accept those minutes as emailed.
Second. Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you. I'd like to present Greg Kitson's here. Greg Kitson's here to represent the Greater Decatur. It's a group that's been meeting for a couple of years anyhow, maybe long, probably longer, but it's kind of behind the scenes. They were a big assistance when we applied in 2014 for the Stellar, and they're kind of leading the charge for 2015. So I'm just going to turn it over to Greg, and he'll give us an update on what the Greater Decatur's been doing and what they recommend us to do.
Okay, Greater Decatur is a long-term advisory group that was created at the request of Mayor Schultz to ensure that long-range planning was taken into account for city administration. I have the opportunity to update council on some information that Greater Decatur has been doing for the past several months. Each of you should have a copy of the PowerPoint handout, which has the individual slides. And this is a complement to an email document that you were previously distributed by Councilman Collier that lists much more detail. I'm going to go through the high points and hopefully answer any questions between the mayor and Councilman Collier and myself, and some people in the audience. We can answer any questions you may have. What we want to do is update council on some of the things that Greater Decatur has been doing. Greater Decatur has been meeting bi-weekly since the first of the year. We found that once a month wasn't enough to maintain momentum and get things done on a timely basis. One of our biggest victories was a community coordinator was hired. You've all been introduced to Melissa. She's doing a wonderful job, even though she's being terribly inundated and overwhelmed during her first days on the job. She's meeting that responsibility very well. We've had meetings with OCRA representatives, meetings with IHCDA in Indianapolis. We attended a Stellar webinar where the state of Indiana agencies that coordinate Stellar got together and told us about significant changes in the Stellar program from 2014 to 2015. Half a dozen of us drove down to Indianapolis, attended a day-long workshop where we met with additional agencies that are now part of the Stellar program. Additional state agencies are now part of the Stellar technical resources, and that's one of the true values of the Stellar program is we have access to those agencies in addition to the ones that we had previously. At meetings with the Indiana Small Business and Entrepreneurship Development Group and the Decatur Cultural Connection, cultural assessment is complete. We're going to go ahead and move on from there. The strategic investment plan projects that were previously part of Stellar were the Monroe Street Bridge pedestrian extension, our eastern gateway to downtown. First and Jefferson Street Riverside Park Greenway Trail extension, that is part of the Parks Department long-term plan. Downtown streetscape and facade improvements. You would not believe the regulation that goes along with all of these programs as we're dealing with the state and what we have to do to comply and qualify. Downtown housing, a creative engagement center, the wetlands project, which is a project that's moving along very quickly and is going to make a tremendous addition to our community, a community marketing campaign, and a capital campaign in addition to that. Stellar 2015 challenges, there is less money on the table from the Stellar Community designation. Previously, depending on which map or which chart you looked at, there was between $8 and $30 million available by the time matching funds was put in place with the Stellar Communities programs. This year, it is being severely restricted to the point that there's been some discussion about, is Stellar worth it? I want to make sure that council understands that Stellar and the exercises we're doing to qualify for Stellar consideration are things that the city should be doing anyhow. And even if we do not achieve Stellar designation, all of the work that we're doing towards this will not be lost. It's something that provides the groundwork for future economic development in our community. Okra, again, has funding limited to $1.5 million as opposed to what they had in the past. We're also being projected to have limited use of funding, and NDOT has no direct funding of streetscapes, which is something that we had counted on extensively in the past. So those monies that were previously part of the Stellar designation have been changed radically and been reduced significantly. So we're going to have to put part of that bill ourselves. Now, the Stellar 2015 challenges, as we look at them, as they've evolved from the previous year, First Street and Jefferson Street Park, changes to the housing plan, and we have to understand how the pending sewer projects on First Street are going to affect all of our long-term downtown revitalization planning. The reality is that there's going to be a significant portion of First Street in the sewer projects that's going to be torn up for almost a year, 26 feet down, and how that's going to impact what we're going to do. At 5 Points, there are many, many unknowns. Needs development. We have to have property control before we can do the studies that are necessary, and the cost is yet to be determined of whatever develops with the 5 Points project.
Greg, if I might real quick, we funded that boundary study, and if you're wondering what, they're basically waiting on the ground to clear to find the pins to actually do the study. So it's just we're waiting on the weather.
So the focus areas for our Stellar 2015 presentation are going to be the Monroe Street Bridge and the pedestrian walkway that goes along with it, downtown streetscapes with a much more limited scope than in the presentation last year. We're going to be talking about an area, the 2nd Street from Jackson to Jefferson, and Monroe Street from the river to 3rd Street. And we're going to have a different program with downtown facades, and this is something that our brand new community coordinator has written a successful facade project previously, so she brings a tremendous resource to our community in her grant writing and knowledge. Again, for housing, we have multiple historic renovations and reuse locations downtown. We're targeting artists and entrepreneurs. This is a lower level public space, and the lower level space would be the first floor, which is typically retail space. We've been received very favorably by the state of Indiana. Last year the presentation was on artistic endeavors. They've looked at the concept of an entrepreneur as being not only artistic but creative. So we spun the presentation to the creative engagement of downtown, which is not simply a building, it is the entire downtown area. The Creative Engagement Center is what is evolving from that. It's transitioning from one physical location in downtown Decatur, a building, the Kitty Shop Interurban building was what was targeted last year, down to the entire downtown area. We want to leverage public space for housing developments, also a business accelerator and co-working space for entrepreneurial pursuits. One of the challenges that was pointed out in our review after our Stellar application last year was we had limited, we did not do a very good job of telling how we would impact the region. We did a very good job of telling how we would impact Decatur, but not how we would impact the region. So the business accelerator and co-working space is something that the state is looking at as a project that we can develop, and they can pick up this model and move it from community to community to community. Therefore, we have regional impact, and that is something that they look favorable for. And the Art and Cultural Center with all of our partners are something for creative engagement. 5 Points, again, as Councilman Collier said, we're awaiting results of the boundary study, and this is something that we will pursue on our own. Our suggestion is to pursue on our own outside of Stellar. With the limited funding and the unknowns that are involved with the 5 Points intersection, this is something that we have to make progress internally on. The First Street Riverside Park Greenway expansion. The completion of the trail along Winchester Street, that would be from past Legion Park almost to 5 Points and terminating 2 houses before 5 Points. There's no use in putting additional improvements in that area if it's torn up at some time in the near future for whatever the 5 Points project evolves into. We also want to pursue First Street property acquisition and include First Street trail expansion during the sewer construction. It's part of what is suitable to put on top of a sewer that we have to determine. The remaining projects are streetscapes. Now, since we've limited the area of our stellar proposal, previously it went all the way to 7th Street where the fire station and the new police station is. Now we want to focus on 7th Street as an island outside of the downtown stellar focus and develop that project along with the new investment in the police station. At this point, we would suggest delaying the Adams and Monroe Street from 7th Street to 2nd Street for future projects. This just lies outside the scope of the project and the monies that appear to be available. One of the big challenges that we are needing to correct is community marketing. We have a tremendous opportunity with the ARG rally that's going to be in our community in June, and we want to develop a marketing plan that is targeted towards all of those individuals that are going to come and spend anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks with us in our community. We don't want to have them say they need to go to Fort Wayne for this, that, or the other. We want to communicate what is available to the ARG people in our community. And I would invite council that we may consider an outside firm for a comprehensive strategy. And again, this is the strategy for a marketing plan. As you talk about who we're going to talk to, how we're going to talk to them, what vehicles we're going to use to talk to them, would be the strategic planning, that the suggestion to retain an outside marketing firm where we're going to ask the city to invest dollars. The tactical aspect of it, the printing, the distribution, the handling, would be something that would be handled internally, and this is something that the community coordinator would look at all the various organizations that are involved and bring those resources to bear to execute the plan that was put together by the strategic planners. A capital campaign. We are running a little bit behind on the creation of our capital campaign. We're having our first organizational meeting at the Adams County Community Foundation on Thursday, where we're going to start putting information together on how we're going to talk to those people who can support our community. If you read this morning Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, the lead story was about the Lilly Foundation and money that is coming to Fort Wayne in the riverfront development. We still have an opportunity to share some of those matching funds for new funds that come into the foundation, and Connie Mayer is going to be helping us with that extensively. So we're going to be asking our community to support these projects in 3 different fashions. The first fashion is we're going to have a major giving campaign. We're also going to have a corporate campaign, and then we're going to go to a crowdfunding or crowdsourcing campaign where we look to the community to make small donations. This is a wonderful way to allow people who've moved away from the city of Decatur to continue to support, and we'll use the power of social media to do that. Now, we have some immediate action plans. The downtown design plan is something that you have much more detail on the handouts that Councilman Collier provided earlier. 7th Street design is something that needs to be done on a fairly immediate basis. Jeremy with the street department has determined that he has resources that are available to execute that, but the planning still needs to be done in that respect. And strongly suggest that the city move forward with the Schaefer property acquisition and control. We're finding again and again and again we can't do anything about the Schaefer building because we, the city of Decatur, do not control that property, do not control that building. And before anything can come of that, that control has to be taken into account. The 2015 action items, the Greenway Trail extension along Winchester Street, which is from Legion Park. The Park Department already has some Legion Park things they're going to be doing. This would be a co-project with them. 7th Street sidewalk and streetscape. First Street property acquisitions. Develop the community marketing plan. Again, a broader plan to tell people what Decatur has to offer, and our capital campaign to fund these types of things, to provide seed money, to provide matching money for different projects that are not fundable by the various community stellar programs. 2016 and 2020, longer range projects that we want City Council to be aware of and considering. Number one on that list would be the Schaefer building demolition. Number two, and this is in no particular order of preference, number two would be the completion of the wetlands project, and that would be the development of trails and cooperation with the schools for different nature activities that would happen in there, a facade improvement program, streetscape improvement, the First Street Trail extension, the Monroe Street Bridge, the second floor of City Hall, and the Business Accelerator / Cultural Center are all things that are going to be suggestions for the City of Decatur to move forward in 2016 and 2020. I thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions or considerations, I would love to entertain those at this time. I may not be able to answer them, but I would think somebody in the room would be able to address your question.
Can you go back one real quick, please? And just so everybody's clear, these 2016 through 2020 projects, this is a mixture of, I mean, I'd say over half of these are going to be included in the Stellar application, okay? So the facade, the streetscapes, the First Street Trail, the Monroe Street Bridge, and the Business Accelerator Cultural Center. Those are all going to be components of Stellar. But the funding of those is going to come during that time frame, sometime between 16 and 20. And what he showed earlier are things that we need to be prepared to commit to this year, and those immediate action items and things that we need to do in 2015. But funding for these, it could be a combination of, our funding, what we raise from the community, grants that might be available outside of Stellar, that type of thing. So that's what these are really pointing to.
Any other questions? I appreciate the time, Greg, that you and Cam has assisted a lot in this, so thank you both for...
Well, I thank you for the gift of your time, and I just want to pass those thanks from the mayor's office on to about 25 individuals in our community that are working on the various projects. Greater Decatur is the avenue by which this information is being disseminated and the resources are being coordinated, but there are many, many people that have stepped forward to do things to better our community, and I want to pass those thanks on to all of those people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll comment that I've been attending some of their meetings, and the mayor did a great job as far as getting a diverse group of people, a lot of young people, professional people.
I won't say young, but younger than you and I, Ken.
Right. They're young to us.
Yeah.
They're professional people that went away to school, and the brain drain didn't get them. They've come back to Decatur, and they have a passion to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And it's real evident when you watch them in the meetings and how they correspond, and Cam and Greg has got them all involved in a different aspect of...
Yeah, these are individuals that were not involved prior to getting on Greater Decatur, and they've stepped forward and contributed.
Impressive.
Yeah, good.
I would, just to kind of, as a wrap-up to this, obviously, there's a cost factor, and that's really, one of the reasons that Greg's coming to us today is to say, hey, you need to think about these things, be prepared, and figure out, if you're going to follow through these recommendations, how are you going to do it? And I've just done some, and it's on the back page of that, what I've emailed you earlier today, and I have some other copies if some of those want to look at this, but these are completely rough estimates, okay? This is part of what Christie's working on, and when we do a revised investment plan, we're going to have hard numbers on this. But, based on some previous conversations and what some of our redevelopment commission had done before, looking at properties on First Street, if we do all of this, I think we're just shy of $500,000 that we would be committing in 2015 to accomplish what Greg has presented to us. All these other projects, 2016 through 2020, I think it's safe to say you're looking perhaps $2.5 million. Now again, that's not all that we're going to commit to. That could come from various sources. But this is the type of thing that we need to be looking at. And if you just do the rough math, that's $500,000 a year. But if you recall, when we applied last year, we had put the city on the hook for $2 million towards Stella, and we're going to raise another $2 million. And we had done that by front-loading it with $750,000, and through our seeded budget, we had another $312 that we were going to designate towards these projects for a 4-year period. I don't know that we have, we spoke with Phyllis earlier last week it was, and, yeah, we had the $312 that we set aside. We had heard some numbers perhaps about other sidewalks, but we would have to look at, okay, where can we get $500,000? How much can we use of seeded this year? Where else do we look? What's the most logical place to go from there? But that's really what we're looking at if we follow through with all these recommendations for 2015.
So this year, the maximum amount is a total of 3, right?
Well, that doesn't include housing, and that's a significant component. But that's not really that's the developer. That's Kevin Biggs.
Mm-hmm.
And just to clarify up for everybody too, I mean, a lot of the creative engagement components, these are part of the housing. These are the lower level spaces of the historic reuse and renovation pieces, and that we're partnering with Kevin Biggs. To be determined how that space who will own that space, but the programs that will be run out of it will be through different organizations within our community.
Any questions? We've done a lot of work, and we got a heck of a lot of work to do ahead of us. But we'll continue to report back. Greg, thank you for such a nice presentation. It's the first time we got to use the monitors here, so I hope everybody can see okay. It's kind of a test for us tonight.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Ken. Kind of leads us into a couple things that we really need to address. One is the wetland nature preserve, which is really owned by the St. Mary's Catholic Church, and we really need to spend a little money in order we can get a substantial amount of money. There's some grants available through the Department of Natural Resources, but in order to apply for those grants, we need to have a plan. And we've checked around, and Nate, please interrupt if you would whenever I stumble a little bit on this, but we got prices from 2 different firms to help us with our plan of how we're going to do this nature preserve. And what I'm going to recommend is that we allot $2,500 from our CCD fund to pay for a plan from, it's called Land Plan Group out of Fort Wayne. And Kevin McQuarrie is the head of that. And Kevin assisted us last year, 2014, with our Stellar, and he's going to help us with 2015 also. But we need to get...
Part of the application for the grant includes we need to have a schematic plan developed.
Yeah.
That's
the word I was looking for.
Developing that, and so we really need to finalize a construction cost estimate. We need to get some graphics together to help essentially sell the project to the DNR, because they're the ones that need to appropriate the grant amount. So really we're trying to sell this project to them so that they give us some grant money toward the project. So
yeah, there's a couple funds. I think Larry Maxon's been insisting this. Larry was a former DNR director, so we're kind of fortunate to have somebody with his experience to assist us here. So there's a couple grants we would like to go after, but to do that we have to have a plan, and we don't really have that right now. So I would like to get permission from council to spend up to $2,500 for from CCD funds to get that plan enacted.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Nate. I kind of jump around here a little bit, but I think the next item we have is explaining the Pincy Depot plan. And we have a couple guests here from that. We have Sherry's here, and Karen Baker are both involved with that. And we were at our last meeting, presented some things, and got a little hectic, and we couldn't explain it all. I did hand out some stuff to the media, and about what their plan is, basically, and I'll just go over that real quick, and Sherry, if you want to interrupt or want to add to, please do so. They gave us an idea of what they wanted to do, and they have items listed from painting and clearing the coating, install chair rails, patch and finish the floor, install cabinets, install flooring, and then they go into some plumbing, electrical, some appliances, some innovative concept information, some tables and chairs, and they got some other, anyhow, all of those projects come to a total of about $76,000, $76,185. Well, how do you pay for that? Well, they got a fundraising goal of $80,000. And some of it, just to give you an idea of what some of the fundraisers are that they have in mind, is on May 16th of this year, they'd like to have a Penn Central tea. On June the 5th, which is in conjunction with the sculpture tour, they'd like to have a booth where they sell lemon shake-up. On June the 6th, the following day, they want to have an auction and cornhole tourney. And June 5th and 6th is in conjunction with sculpture tour and also the ARG rally that's going to be here in Decatur, so that could be very good. In August 22nd, time of Kikianga, they like to have a lemon shake-up stand again. Now, when I say lemon shake-up, that's a stand that's going to be located downtown, not at the depot, but downtown where they have that. They want to install a raffle. That date's to be determined yet. It's not known yet, but they'll have a raffle. And then in September, they're going to have an 18-hole golf outing. So they've thought their way through this, what renovations are needed, and how they're going to try to pay for it. So I really just wanted to bring everybody up to date. Sherry, is there anything you want to add to that, or?
No, in conjunction with Kikianga, with the lemon shake-up stand, we're also going to debut our historic Decatur calendar.
Oh, okay. So they're going to have a calendar for, that they're going to debut on the Kikianga. So great idea. It's a historic structure that I think we all in favor of preserving that. We did receive just the other day designation that it's past the first step in historic preservation. There's quite a few steps involved, but you can't get to the third step unless you pass the first one. So we are moving in the right direction, and I appreciate the help from Sherry and her and Karen and their helpers that are going on. So any questions on that? Karen?
John, we're also going to have the auction that's held in June. We're going to have that at the Penn Depot, which should attract people down to see what the depot looks like.
Yeah.
So we'll be holding the auction and the cornhole tournament that day
At the 7th Street location.
at the 7th Street location.
Good deal. Thank you.
Mayor, as this continues to hit the press, as people want to start to give to this renovation, where do they?
Yeah, they could give it really should go to the Adams County Community Foundation. In fact, Roger Gage and I are meeting with Connie Mayer down at the foundation to make sure everything's set up properly, and we'll report back once we get that done. I think we're going to be meeting here next week with the foundation.
Great.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Tim, your time. We're going to have the ordinance fee to, right now we have no policy, we don't have any guidelines on if somebody wants to, a copy of this meeting, so we're recording it right now. Somebody could buy the recording, and that's what, we don't have an ordinance that authorizes that, so Tim said we had to pass one of those.
Well, and
I don't worry about those things, but Tim does.
I'll let Nate explain a little bit about this, if he would, but as I understand, it's changed a bit with regard to the audio recordings, and I'll let Nate explain that, but we are going to have to charge for that as well.
Correct. When initially I had presented some information about the audiovisual system, I was under the impression that the audio recording was one block file. It actually is, and it's similar to the way that the video recording is. It's just a bunch of kind of individual files, and then the program is kind of a post-production. You merge everything together. Well, when you merge it, you're not merging the audio, you're merging just the video and audio files. So in the last 2 meetings we've had, we've been kind of testing the system out. How does it record? How big are the files?
hopefully tonight with tonight's recordings, we've got this kind of dialed into the way we're going to be able to work. So at this point, trying to send out email replies with attaching auto files really isn't feasible for us without kind of fine programming, kind of looking and testing and kind of starting over with that aspect. So I'd like to pursue working with just the combined files at this point, and that would be posting those online and then doing the DVD recordings as individual AFF feeds. So it'd be a combined audio-video file only at this point.
Okay. The nature of the ordinance would require $25 to be paid to the city at the time a request is made for either a copy, audio copy, or a combined audio-video copy. That would be paid into the clerk's office. Any funds paid would be deposited into the city general fund. The copy that would be provided is a digital format on a hard disk drive. The request would be need to be in writing. It's submitted to the clerk treasurer. It can be done in person, by email, or regular mail. The request has to include the name, address, phone number, email address of the requesting party, and the particular meeting and date of the meeting for which a recording is being requested, as well as whether they're requesting an audio copy or a video copy with audio merged. The payment, once the payment is received, then the city would have a reasonable amount of time to produce a copy requested, not to exceed 2 weeks. Once a copy has been produced, the city would contact, through the clerk treasurer, would contact the requesting party by email of the availability. The copy can then be picked up in person, or if the requesting party wants, it can be mailed, but the requesting party would need to provide a self-addressed postage prepaid envelope in order for the hard disk to be mailed. Refund policy, once the copy fee has been paid to the city, it's non-refundable unless, because of technical difficulties, the city can't provide the copy. In other words, we've had some problems where the feed doesn't work properly, and so we've not been able to provide that. Nate's been working to iron out those matters, but in the event that that would happen, then we would have an obligation to refund the fee that was previously paid. Once you approve this, then the mayor needs to approve the ordinance, and then it is required to be published by law, and it would then go into effect. That's the gist of the ordinance.
I think Tim is keep us abreast of what's in the actual ordinance. So, do you have any questions? I would recommend that if you so desire, we could pass this on the first 2 readings and then table it to the next meeting.
Make a motion to place ordinance number 2015-4 in its first reading by short title.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Ordinance number 2015-4, short title, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur, Indiana, which establishes fees to be charged for copies of audio and video recordings of Common Council meetings or such other municipal meetings as may be recorded by the city.
Make a motion for passage of ordinance 2015-4 in its first reading.
Second.
Motion second, we'll have roll call vote, please.
Cam Collier.
Yes.
Bill Crum.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Ken Meyer.
Yes. Make a motion that ordinance number 2015-4 be placed in its second reading by short title.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Ordinance number 2015-4, short title, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur, Indiana, which establishes fees to be charged for copies of audio and video recordings of Common Council meetings or such other municipal meetings as may be recorded by the city.
Make a motion for passage of ordinance 2015-4 in its second reading.
Second.
Motion second, we'll have roll call vote, please.
Cam Collier.
Yes.
Bill Crum.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Ken Meyer.
Yes. And I make a motion to table ordinance 2015-4 for its third reading on March 17th.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you. Next item, we have Mary Byer. Mary attends regularly our meetings and has a suggestion for maybe an art supply. So come forward, please, Mary.
Let's see.
If you could, excuse me. Yeah, He'll get that for you. The microphone records it if you speak into that microphone, so. We all gotta get used to that. We're not used to that yet.
I brought before the council this classic hanging system for student artwork as well as other artists in the community and other schools other than science. There's a couple of questions, particularly about the fire alarm. I contacted Homeland Security and Tim Bauman, and they both said the same thing, that there is no code. You just can't cover them. So things hang pretty close. I think in order to avoid it entirely, the way the hanging system is designed, if we lower the bar just a little, there's no way you could put anything in front of it. Or I've also altered the system to include 2 wall track end caps. The system comes in 2 6-foot sections, so we could space it as well, and then that would require an extra $8.96 to cap it off, so we can avoid it just in case the fire code changes.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have put together a call for student arts grades K through 12 that outline some of the requirements. For example, the teacher's responsibilities would be student work must be framed and ready to hang. The teacher is responsible for hanging the student work on the first of the month that they agreed upon. For information on the hanging system, please refer to the website. And I gave them the website. Most teachers, they'll look at that and go, okay, I know how it works in the art department. Teacher is responsible for picking up the work at the end of the duration of each agreed month. It also says this is open for other artists as well. So it says it can be distributed to North Adams Arts Council or any other interested party. This is just a rough layout. And they can go for more than 1 month depending on the response that we get from the community. And I would have them contact me directly because it didn't sound like anybody else would be interested in doing the sign-up sheet. So
it says here you got available up to 10 pieces.
yes, up to 10
Up to
pieces.
10.
The hanging system will have, there should be a 4-foot section, and the amount of clips ordered will hang 10 pieces. You can hang 2 on each of 4-foot bars, and then there's 4 additional 2-foot bars that could hang.
So altogether, how much room does that take? Excuse my ignorance.
Well, you could put in more if you wanted.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep the...
Well, and I guess that's where I'm kind of want to know is how much area out in the lobby, the lobby area.
Room
Yeah,
in
but I don't want to use all of it. But you're talking about from like this door right here
Yes, this door
to the next door.
Yes, the
Okay.
next door, and it would be evenly spaced.
Okay.
Because it's a 6-foot section.
That's fine.
And you can
Yeah.
space it out.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd have 10 pieces, up to 10 pieces.
Up to 10 pieces.
And as few as 2.
And
Yeah.
if you don't want it there at all, you can take all the bars down
Okay.
and store
All
them,
right.
and it would be a blank wall again.
Any questions?
I appreciate you looking further into it as we asked. Total system cost $223.
Where'd you get that number?
Oh, did you not get a copy of the secondary?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pages.
Yeah. Oh, 2 pages. I'm sorry. I just grabbed the first page. Excuse me. Phyllis Willie would need one for the record.
Here.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you, Kenny. Yeah, there we go.
All the same.
You want to? Yeah, I don't see an issue with this. It's one way to kind of doll up the the lobby area anyhow. So, and it helps the kids.
The local art teachers, are they all in favor of it?
I haven't talked to anyone because I didn't know if it was a sure thing yet, so I
Okay.
didn't want to get everybody
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know my students, I mentioned it to them, and their work has gone up. They're really excited about displaying somewhere other than their refrigerator.
Yeah. I do not see a problem. Officially, we do have to find $223.66, but I'd say council fund would take care of that. I think the mayor's got money. That's how I got out of that.
I make a motion to proceed with council funds for the system, $223.
$223.66.
Yeah.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
Who's going to order it?
Mary?
Mary's going to take care of it.
All right.
Yeah. That way we know she's getting what she needs. So, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Phyllis annually has to report to the state, I believe, balances in our various funds, and so I just turn it over to her. She can make that report, and I think she has to make a legal notice on that.
Just a legal notice to show what the City of Decatur's cash and investments.
So we probably should make the legal notice a matter of record, please.
So move.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Sorry to interrupt you there, Phyllis.
That's
Please-
all I need
Please
to know.
proceed. Oh, to make it a matter of record?
Yeah. The balance is as of 2014,
Okay.
December 30th.
That was already in the...
This was already published in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I missed it, to be honest with you. I did not see it.
have, John?
Huh?
What day was that in?
I'll have it on.
What day was this in the paper?
February 23rd.
February 23rd. Okay. Okay, thank you. A couple things I have. Susan Osborne is a resident here in Decatur, and the Decatur Housing Authority suggested that I recommended that I appoint her. It's the mayor's appointment to the Decatur Housing Authority for the period from December 13th of 2014 to February 13th of 2018. So I will make that appointment. It was their recommendation, so I'll just honor their recommendation and appoint Susan Osborne to that position. St. Mary's Catholic Church this year is celebrating 175th.
You want to make the appointment, the certificate, a matter of record, if you will.
We have to make the certificate of appointment a matter of record, so excuse me, I got to back up here. Susan Osborne, the dates I gave you before, we need to make that a matter of record.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Sure, I'm glad I got all these people making sure I do it correctly. And I'm sitting right between them. St. Mary's Catholic Church is having 175th anniversary of being a Catholic church here in the city of Decatur. They are on May the 17th going to have a procession from the Catholic Church, and they come down and they cross Monroe Street on 3rd Street to come down and do a procession, and then they cross Monroe Street going back to the south at 2nd Street here. I really just wanted to let you know that was going to happen. They have talked with the police department to kind of control traffic. You don't know how big the procession will be, but we just want to let everybody know that they have asked permission and it's been given through the police department. So. Next item really goes back to some of the things that Greg Kitson gave us in his presentation. We talked about we need money for this, we need money for that, we need to really understand what funds we do have. Back in 2009, we had a study done by Umbon Associates, and it was a financial strategic plan. So we understood where our monies was, and the reason we had it done back then was because of tax caps. We didn't really know what the impact tax caps were going to have on us, and so we hired Umbo to lead us through that presentation of how it was going to impact us. So we need to do it again, is what I'm asking. We have talked to Christy Sturts. Christy has been a person that's led us through the stellar 2014 presentation, and she's assisting us with 2015 stellar. Ask Christy to understand where we're at, and it seems every time we turn around we need money for this, money for that. I would suggest that we hire Christy for a fee of $5,000 out of the rainy day fund to give us a financial strategic plan here in 2015, which will help what Cam just mentioned earlier concerning what we want to do over the next 5 years. And this will give us a kind of a financial roadmap of what we can afford and what we can't afford. So I just put it up for discussion. If anybody's got any questions, we try to answer them.
5,000.
$5,000 is what Christie...
Do you remember what paid on
I
both?
do. I do. In 2009, it cost us $23,000. So I think this is... Of course, there was a lot more done with the tax cap involvement, but still, I think it give us a financial plan of where we're going to be at for the next 5 years. We need to do that.
It's something really that should be done
Probably
every
should.
so many years.
It's hard for Phyllis. I always surprise her every meeting. Say, hey, I need $5,000. I need $2,000. I need $100,000. And
Revenue
Phyllis scrambles around and finds it somehow. I don't know how she does that, but
I think it's easy to, like, even, I can look at the current balances and say, well, let's go here, but we don't know the ramifications of that.
the commitments that are already onto those funds. So
And the fact that, our seat, it changes every year.
yeah.
It's tied to income taxes, so it's not a consistent budget that we're working from.
It's a wise expenditure. I make a motion to move forward with the $5,000 to Sturt's Public Management to assess our
Financial.
financial...
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. This is kind of a personal request for Tim and I both, really. We have a scheduled meeting for April 21st, which is the second meeting in April on a Tuesday. It so happens that's the confirmation day for our grandsons.
And I've asked to be a sponsor for another young
So
man.
really, I guess what I'm going to ask, well, I'm not going to guess, I'm going to ask if we could change the meeting to the next day, to the 22nd instead.
Absolutely. A motion that,
Please.
make a motion that we change the April 21st meeting to Wednesday, the 22nd.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Good. I'm glad it worked out for you too, Matt. We talked earlier about opening the house here for City Hall. I think things are falling into place now. We got furniture. We got some pictures hung. We really kind of know where we're at now. So we discussed it, and I think we're on agreement that we should have an open house maybe the first full week of April. I would suggest that we do it on a Wednesday from 5 to 7:30 on April the 8th, and then also again on Saturday, April the 11th. So it gives people an opportunity that can't come during the night to come on Saturday and vice versa. So I would recommend that we...
set the hours on that Saturday.
Yeah, on that Saturday, 9 to 12. What do you think? Don't want to make it too early, but want to make it too early.
Sounds fine.
9 to 12 on Saturday? Great, thank you. We had it earlier at our Board of Works meeting, we had an individual come in, I told him I'd bring this up. This individual, John Matthews, part owner of the Wet Spot down the street here, and they've had fundraiser on Armistice Day, and these are for veterans in need.
Wounded warrior.
Wounded warrior, that's it, yeah. So it helps fund that, and it's not just for Decatur, but it's a regional thing. This is the fourth year. I think the first year they closed the street, the last two they did not, but they're requesting that we close 2nd Street from Monroe Street to Jackson Street on Saturday, May 16th, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. It's a good event. We've done it. We've closed streets before for events similar to this, so I would recommend that we give approval to do that.
I'm sorry, we should have probably talked about this when he was here. We do an event form,
Oh, yes, yeah, we do. He needs to fill out an event form, correct. Yeah,
but I don't see any issue with it. We hope we make everybody else do it, so.
yeah.
After the event form's completed, I make a motion to
Didn't
grant
we-
the request.
The first time they closed it, did we close all the way to 2nd Street, or did we close it from the alley on?
It was the whole thing. Yeah.
Street Department
And
and
were
police
those
says easy.
businses, like Tattered Treasures, and were
Yeah,
they all
some of
okay
those.
with it?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't heard any complaints.
And that's probably the event form.
Yeah,
right.
that's
They
part
have
of the
to talk
event
to
form.
the...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, subject to him filling out an event form and getting the okays.
Matt made a motion, and I think Bill seconded it, so. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you. We're getting there, we're getting there. Condolences to Vic Strickler's family. Vic was a
Good guy.
police officer for, I don't know, 20-some years, and then he worked for the bank for 20-some years, and then came back and was a dispatcher for the city of Decatur. Well, he passed away, and we just want to send our condolences to Vic's family. On a happier note, I'd like to congratulate A.J. Calver, Hall of Fame. Again. I think he's probably the only one that's made the Hall of Fame in two different categories. Once as a coach, once as a announcer. So I know I appreciate his announcing.
That's a good job.
He brings it to your house, you know.
Yeah.
Can't go to every match, so but it's good. So congratulations to AJ. Finally, I am done. So we'll go to department heads. Melissa, you have anything to report? Greg? Good. Les Markle? Nate?
Just wanted to let everyone know that the long-term control plan, compliance plan that we had due for our CSO project, that has been submitted and received by Obvious, so.
Oh, we're all sitting on pins and needles on that, I'm sure. So.
It's a good bit to have that.
No kidding.
It is, joking aside, it is. It's very important we do it, but, you know, it kind of loses its luster. Yeah. So, Dan?
We took in 109 applications for the utilities.
Wow.
We've narrowed down to about 30. We should be making phone calls this week and probably interviewing about maybe 10 people.
Good. Thanks, Dan. Jeremy, one thing I just want to bring up quickly is we've had some issues with some of the store owners downtown with snow removal, and Jeremy addresses it best we can. You know, what happens is one property blames one snow removal company that they put their snow on my property, and now I got to take care of it. I don't think Jeremy needs to be the referee here. I hate to establish some policy, another policy that people have to go through, but, you know, I think common sense is the best approach. I guess if we continue to have complaints, we'll have to do something. But I think Jeremy does a wonderful job. He tries to get out early before all the cars are around and gets everything cleaned off, but, you know, just ask people to work together and get the job done. So, thank you, Jeremy. City council members, want to bring anything up?
I think we need to address the Schaefer building. Or do you want to wait?
Yeah, I'd say we want to wait. I think we'll get a better handle on that. We can discuss a little bit. Greg talked about the Schaefer building. I think everybody knows where the Schaefer building is and what kind of condition it's in. And I think it's important that at some point we need to get control of that property so we can move forward and do something. If we had control of that property, who knows, maybe the commissioners, Adams County commissioners would have looked at that for the Justice Center, but we didn't have control of it. We didn't know. So we're in better shape right now than we were before, but I don't know. Do you think we should proceed with at least looking at acquiring the property? We have not talked with the owner of that property or the realtor that he's hired.
Yes, I think we should.
I mean, we went down that road of getting, you know, environmental, and we got estimates. We understand what the cost is. I think that the benefit of meeting with Okra is we found out that, you know, there is money available through them, and there's not as many stipulations as what we had with the street garage.
Yeah. We acquired here a couple of years ago the street garage demolition. We got an Okra grant of $400,000 to demolish that, and it worked out well. One of the conditions was we couldn't do anything on that property. We could not build on that for 7 years. Okra has changed that. Now it's you can build on it anytime you want. So that requirement's been out. So now the bad part of that is they don't fund $400,000 anymore. They only fund up to $150,000. But hey, we'll take the $150 if they would give that to us. So I think it's at least a valuable thing to do is to at least talk to the realtor and see where we're at. We don't know. We don't know if the guy wants $300,000, $100,000, whatever he wants.
Do you need a motion for that, John? Or?
Well, our consensus.
When it comes to talking to them, phone.
It's realtor.
That phone's never ringed. 3 weeks we've been here, and all of a sudden it rings. Hey, what are you doing?
Nobody there?
That's why I was afraid there's nobody there. Where were we?
When it comes to negotiating with this guy or talking to him at all, we have the average of the two appraisals.
We do have, excuse me, I should mention that, we do have appraisals. We went ahead with, and took the expense of giving 2 appraisals, 2, what do you call them, certified appraisals, Tim? Is that, yeah.
Wouldn't we want to kind of take the approach with him that,
This is the max we can pay.
one, you need to give us a realistic figure to sell this building, or else we'll have it condemned. And if we condemn it, he gets nothing out of the building, correct?
Yeah, that's a complicated process, too.
Yeah, there's a possibility he would get something if it were sold for a high enough price, but the likelihood of that happening wouldn't be that great.
So that's what I'm saying. Our offer shouldn't be, in my mind, anywhere close to the appraised value. We ought to be able to buy it for half that or less, I think.
Yeah, but we think you should talk to him, John. Yeah, I think we just need to start the process. I guess I'm asking permission for Tim and I maybe to talk with the realtor.
Good with that.
We have no idea where they're at. I really don't.
We've done all these things, and we paid for the appraisals to get to this point.
Right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I realize it kind of commits us to something greater.
Well, I think we're better prepared so the public knows here that we're not going into this blind. We did get permission from the owner to go in and do an assessment for environmental issues. So we do have a great idea about what the environmental issues are going to cost us. We have also got a contractor to come in and give us an idea of what the demolition is going to be and the backfill of that. So you add that to the acquisition, then we can come up with a total price. But right now, we're just kind of guessing. But
It's a public safety hazard,
Yeah.
and it's getting worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And done properly over the next couple of years, I think we can make something positive out of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
So, yes.
I
Please
guess
do.
maybe we should have a motion to...
So
Oh, my
moved.
God.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We did not allow that call-in vote.
Good call-in vote.
Anybody else have anything that they want to bring up as a council member? Okay, we're going to go to public. God, I want to call it Clyde Allen. Excuse me. Mary? Larry? Sherry? Carrie? Don? Claudia? Greg, anything else? Max? One thing, excuse me, I just thought when I got to Max, it hit me. Another issue it was, and we talked about this at the last meeting, this train depot warehouse that's down in Geneva being stored. It was located originally over by Arnold Lumber. It's a warehouse. It's been dismantled. We'd like to bring it back here. And I want to thank Max for being involved. Max Miller here is with the Adams County Historical Society, and they have come forward with a contribution of $1,000 to help get this done. So I want to thank Max and the Adams County Historical Society for that. If you'd like to get a picture, maybe we can get a picture and get that to Bob somehow. So stick around, Max. But $1,000 isn't enough. So we need another $1,500. Jeremy, is that right? Is that the amount we were looking at? $2,500, right? Yeah. Okay. So I asked Phyllis about that before the meeting, so I didn't blindside her again with asking for money. But she said there's some money available in the Common Council Fund. So, so well, I think it's worth taking that step, and getting it back here. So, and I think Fleming Excavating gave us the price of getting it here, and I think right now is a good time for them. They're not extremely busy yet, but you give them another month and they're going to get busy and they won't be able to do it. So I'd like permission to spend $1,500 of council funds to get that completed. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thanks, Max, for coming. I would have forgot about it. So excuse me. Wiley? No. Thank you. Mr. I forgot the name already. Wiseman, excuse me.
Answered some of my questions, but this is mainly about this building up here.
If you could, excuse me, Mr. Wiseman, just so we can get recorded what you're talking about, if you could stand there and tell us what you're up to.
Well, I just took a walk through the snow Sunday up here at the flea market, and it's the first time I've walked by this building in a long time, because I normally work out of town. And I was just wondering what you were going to plan in the future, because it is in bad shape. I work around these buildings all the time.
Yeah, it's not in good shape. I think we all agree with that.
The rest of the roof is thinking, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you think you have another couple years to get it down?
Tim, you answer that one, please. Hello? Reject.
The problem, first of all...
Excuse me, I didn't mean to slight you there by any means, excuse me, but, yeah, I think if we get acquisition, and the best thing that could happen is get it all done this year. I doubt if that's going to happen. I would like to see it demolished and leveled by the end of 2016, so that gives us not quite 2 years, but it gives us 22 months. I think that's something that can be accomplished. If we can afford it, we may do it quicker than that.
I just have to walk down the alley.
Ringers are falling.
Some of them bricks, some of them steel roofs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, we have to look at it from a funding, and if we can get acquisition.
There we go.
Maybe we go to,
Yeah.
right.
So, I think we agreed tonight to spend $5,000 to see where our money's at. I think once we find out where our funds are and how much, we can afford, and I think that would be a top priority for us.
Part of it is the building's for sale for $300,000. The appraisals are at a touch over $100,000 each. And by law, the max we can pay is the average of those two appraisals. So we're far apart on those two numbers.
I heard his funding fell through for his ideas because I think the building is structurally unsound. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Nonetheless,
We're going to proceed with it, so yeah, I appreciate your concern and having enough gumption to come on up to the meeting and express your concerns
Well,
about
another
it.
thing, when I was taking a walk down through the alleys the other day, I noticed a lot of the alleys are cracking and buckling where there's sewer line or drain line running down in the middle of them.
Yeah.
And some of the asphalt starting to collapse.
I believe
Some kind of survey maybe, after the snow.
Jeremy will look at. Jeremy is our street commissioner, takes care of the streets and the paving and stuff. He's always got a list of things that need. I wish we had unlimited amount of funds and we'd fix them all, but we'll do what we can to fix what we can. I think last year we did the alley right behind City Hall. Yeah. It's kind of a priority thing. The worst ones get taken care of first. So, yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. Appreciate your interest. Bob, I'm sorry, I forgot public. You're part of the public. Did I cover everybody there? Tear it down.
Did you write that down?
That's recorded. Mr. Baker, do you have anything you need?
I just will point out, there are a couple of matters that are coming full steam ahead. In the next couple of months, the Stellar letter of interest is going to be submitted March 16th.
March 16th.
The Redevelopment Commission has proposed an amendment to the TIF district, the allocation area, and that's going to be coming up before Plan Commission and Council probably at your next meeting, and then there will be a public hearing after that to get public input about that proposal. In addition, the sewer bond is going to be advertised on April 6th, April 13th. The bond sale will occur April 21st. Bond closing will be May 5th. We have 3 annexations at different stages. The wetlands is the one that is moving most quickly. You're going to have your public hearing on that next meeting, and then following that, the council will introduce your annexation ordinance and take action on that, both at your March 17th and then April 7th meetings. The second annexation is the request of the hospital to be annexed. We're getting ready to, we're working on finalizing a legal description for that. Once we get that accomplished, then that process will be started, and we'll go through the same process as what we're working with on the wetlands, because it's a super voluntary annexation, meaning it's 100% of those that are going to be annexed are requesting the annexation. The third potentially will be the jail site out off of Winchester Street, and that hasn't been moved along as quickly, but I anticipate that's probably going to occur sometime this summer. We're looking to advertise to accept bids for the sale of City Hall. That, right now, the notice is to run on March 7th, March 16th. The bid period for that will run from March 26th to May 25th. And if we get a bid that's acceptable during that period, we can move forward to accept the bid immediately and proceed to close on it.
Not to interrupt, Tim, but if we decide we don't want to sell here after that's been advertised, do we have to sell?
You don't.
We still have that.
You have the
Luxury,
ability,
don't
yeah, you have the ability to, but if you receive an offer that you find to be acceptable, then you can accept it immediately, and that closes the bid period. You sign a purchase agreement, and then you move forward with the closing. So that could move fairly quickly. We're also working on finalizing the code update. That's been a difficult process because there's a lot of changes. I think probably what we're going to have to do is try to do the best we can is finalizing the Red Book, and then get that to American Publishing, move to get the code recodified, and then if we have to go back and make some further revisions, we can, but rather than delay that much longer, we want to try to get that finalized. We're also looking to, I haven't filed a quiet title action on casting. That'll probably be done yet this week or early next week. Then I anticipate that the legal notice will be published probably sometime in the middle of the month, and I'm guessing, based on the court's calendar, we'd be looking at a hearing date probably sometime in late April into May sometime. We also have talked to the attorney that represents the family members on the Craig property. We're trying to move that along where they either fix it up or get it sold. We've given them a deadline, and I know the mayor has indicated that he might be willing to give them a little more time if they are truly serious about moving to get it resolved. We also talked briefly about the Schaefer building and moving forward with that. And, you know, with this study on our financial needs that Christie is going to be doing, that's probably going to lay out whether or not there's a need to consider rate increases. We've talked seriously about stormwater. Could also include water, because there are a lot of infrastructure needs and we just don't have the resources. Neither of those have been increased for some time, and it may be necessary in order to provide sufficient revenues to do projects that are definitely needed. So we'll see. We'll see whether that will come out or not. So, lots going on, and we're probably looking at doing most of this probably within by the end of May.
Good. Well, keep you a little busy, Tim, won't it?
Yeah.
Appreciate your help. Thank you very much. Phyllis, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Claims.
Make a motion, claims.
Second.
Make a motion and second to pay the claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
One fee. Oh, okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening.